Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Try listening to them on audio. Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. From brand new audiobooks such as Thrawn, Treason, and the audiobook exclusive Dooku Jedi Lost, to our blockbuster movie tie-in editions, you'll have plenty to keep you entertained. Start listening wherever audiobooks are sold. Looking for something more inspiring? Bubble Up is an all-new app that is an incredible resource for organizing and managing your life, as well as a fun way to learn about just about any topic you can possibly imagine. Keep all of your favorite links, photos, music, videos, documents, and more together, visually organized the way that you want it. Use Bubble Up for work, entertainment, and personal use. Get ready to take fun and organization to a whole new level. Go to bubbleup.com/promo/coffee with Kenobi and activate Coffee with Kenobi's exclusive promo code to get started.
This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
I have got a good feeling about this too. Hello everybody and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi show number 289. We are your spoiler-free place for Star Wars discussion, analysis, and rhetoric. I'm your host, Dan Z, drinking One Nation coffee out of my episode 8 ILM Visual Effects Crew mug, in honor of showing the film to my son last weekend. More on that later in the show. Coffee with Kenobi is brought to you by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. For all of your travel needs, the Disney theme parks, the cruise lines, or anywhere you want to go on vacation, be sure to go to our affiliate link, which can be found in the show notes, on the front of our webpage, or on our Twitter feed, and sign up for a free, no-obligation quote. We are also brought to you by One Nation Coffee, the official brew of Coffee with Kenobi. For the best coffee in the galaxy, go to www.onenationcoffee.com and sign up for a subscription service so you never miss out on the best coffee in the galaxy. On today's show, Drew Taylor stops by to discuss San Diego Comic-Con and what he experienced there. Tom is back with the news, and my son Mason Z returns to discuss his first viewings of The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite coffee mug, and let's have some coffee with Kenobi.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
Joining me today for a cup of coffee is the managing editor of Moviefone and the co-host of the podcasts Light the Fuse and Fine Tuning. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Drew Taylor.
Neither of us are drinking coffee, though.
How do you know?
You want to tell people what you're drinking?
Oh, sure. Well, okay, so normally I drink water or sometimes I actually drink coffee. But today, actually earlier I was at Dollar General and they had a packet by the register of grape Hawaiian punch packets to add to bottles of water. So I'm drinking grape Hawaiian punch.
It's good. It's actually good to know you're near a Dollar General because we don't have any in LA, and sometimes they have exclusive like candy flavors.
Yeah,
at Dollar General, or like even Oreo flavors sometimes. So if you get like a frantic text from me, can you go find whatever the Halloween whatever
Halloween Oreos, the tuna fish Oreos. Yeah, sure.
Oreos, yeah. There's actually a Baskin Robbins mint chocolate chip Oreo that I'm very into. There's
a grocery store down by the street from us that
you
has
should get that one.
every flavor ever. So I will actually keep my eyes open for you.
Yeah. Well, I have that one, but I want you to try it because it's very good.
I will.
That's my shout out.
And if you can listen closely, you heard people unsubscribing when we start talking about Oreos.
No, you just got a lot more subscribers.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
well, cool. All right. So obviously we're having Drew on because he's Drew Taylor and he's an incredibly entertaining person. Plus, you are a man all over the place. You were recently at San Diego Comic-Con. How many have you been to, by the way?
This is only my third San Diego Comic-Con, so I'm still relatively new to the San Diego Comic-Con game. I don't really go unless I have a reason to, or that there's something big to cover. And obviously, there was some big stuff.
Was.
Yeah,
for sure.
So
we're gonna get to that.
What?
I said we'll definitely get to that. But what were you gonna say?
Well, I kind of did the best because this Comic-Con was kind of slow, and so I went in Friday afternoon and left Sunday morning. So I was basically just there for a few hours on Friday, all day Saturday, and then I was out. And then, that was kind of the best way to do it, quite frankly. So it was kind of a strategic hit.
No, I think that's smart. And one of my favorite things about Comic-Con, I went last year, or 2 years ago, I guess now, 2018, is how you, for miles and miles away from the convention center, the city is just draped and ensconced in popular culture, whether it's the waitresses and the waiters or the overlays on buildings or in elevators. I think it's just like, it's such a thing that people can't even possibly fathom unless they experience it.
Yeah, I mean, it's both charming and incredibly gross when you start to think about just how you're in sort of like the middle of a like Super Bowl TV, block of commercials come to life, because everything has advertising on it. And you're right, all the waiters and waitresses wear like, themed shirts and stuff. I mean, the city really does take part in it. I feel like I was thinking when I was there, when the pharmaceutical convention is in town, it probably does not take over the city like Comic-Con does.
Hey, I'm your Paxil waiter. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Have you tried, the newest, Botox?
Yes, thank you. This is a family podcast, so thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it's sort of interesting to think about. But yeah.
So the thing that people ask me all the time is, did you run into any celebrities? And I'm not talking about people that you covered or that you knew you had to go and spend time with, but did you see anybody on the show floor or anything like that you're like, oh, cool? I went to some of the booths. Bill Stout was there, who's a great concept artist, and Chris Sanders, who co-directed Lilo and Stitch, had a booth, but I was at a party one night for the TV channel FX, and I saw two of the guys from What We Do in the Shadows, which I don't know if you've watched yet, but is absolutely hilarious. And so I had to get my photo with two of the vampires from What We Do in the Shadows. So that was really... Is that from the director of Ragnarok?
Yes, Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
And Jermaine Clement did the movie that the show was based on, and they directed episodes. So I very nerdily went over to these two guys and...
Fly the Conchords?
It wasn't the Fly the Conchords. These are the guys from the show. So not anybody from the movie. So it wasn't like Taika and Jermaine.
I love Jermaine.
Yeah. But it was two of the new vampires on the new show. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. So that was just my brush with stardom, I guess.
No, that's fun. That's fun. And were you calm and composed, or did you?
I was. I just sort of went over and I was like, "You guys are so funny. Can I get a picture?" And they were very accommodating.
Well, what a wonderful segue this is. Thank you for walking right into this. I saw on Instagram that you had a fan that came up and wanted their picture with you. Is that true? Is that staged?
Which fan?
Which fan? There's how many? There's three, so it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wanted a picture. I took a picture with Asad Ayaz, who's the head of marketing at Disney, and that was my brush with fame as well.
No, it was a young lady, and in the caption it said Drew has a fan, and you said something like, it's gonna have to be quick, or so.
I don't remember this at all. I don't remember anyone taking a photo of me, but I'll. Is this on Twitter?
It was on Instagram. It was on Instagram stories.
Oh,
it was left from last week.
Oh, thought, yes. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, so this year was very Stranger Things was big at Comic-Con this year.
Sure.
So what I did, as you know, I love denim, and I had my Stranger Things Levi's collaboration jacket, and this woman was literally like spinning me around and taking pictures of like, it's a jacket with every character silk screened onto the jacket. It's a very cool jacket.
Oh, that is awesome.
And nobody else was wearing it at Comic-Con, which I was very worried about. I was like, oh, I'm going to wear this, and there's going to be like 20 people. Nobody else had it. She was taking pictures of every single character on the jacket. So I was just standing in Ghirardelli like a human, mannequin, like my favorite 1980s movie Mannequin. And she was just taking photos of me, which was very weird, but funny. So that was her brush with celebrity, I guess. And
that's outstanding.
Yeah.
And that's your favorite 1980s. You do know that Raiders of the Lost Ark came out that same decade too, right?
I know, but Mannequin is really it for me. It's a wish fulfillment. She's a mannequin, human. You know what I mean? It's just
nothing's going to stop us now. Yeah. True. Okay, so let's talk. This is why you don't need to do a podcast.
It's true. We should ask your listeners if we should do.
Yeah. Weigh in, everybody. Well, we'll still keep our day jobs. Don't worry.
Yes.
So what was the Lucasfilm Star Wars presence like? I asked you to kind of scout out the show floor because you're on my payroll now. So congratulations.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm a looking for Lucasfilm Cub reporter. Yeah, there wasn't a lot, to be honest with you. There was stuff. There was a display with all the costumes, which I'm sure you saw, or not even costumes, armor.
The Stormtrooper armor, yeah. There were, I think, 9 different ones.
Yeah, and the Sith Trooper was in there. And then there was the Sith Trooper. It was sort of like every major like retailer kind of had a Sith Trooper something. Like
Loungefly I got the Funko Pop.
Okay, so Funko Pop. Loungefly had a backpack that was sold out immediately. Hasbro had the Black Series, which was cool because you could kind of like
see the weapons,
pull out the sides, and the weapons would come out, which was kind of neat, kind of like a cool display. But yeah, there wasn't like, and there was some stuff sort of for the Vader Immortal. The second part I think is coming out, so there was something with that. That's Vader 2 Electric Boogaloo, right? Yes, Vader. Yeah, Vader 2. If we're talking about mannequin, it should be Vader 2 on the move.
Jeez, I forgot there was a sequel to that.
Yeah, oh yeah, never forget. So yeah, there wasn't like an overwhelming presence. There wasn't a ton of exclusives that people were angling for. I think it's just sort of a downtime a little bit for Star Wars. And it made me think. Do you remember the first toy from Episode 1?
Oh yeah,
robot on the little like.
Yeah, the STAP, the battle drone, the STAP, yep.
Yes, yeah. And I was just thinking about the warehouses that I'm sure are still full of that toy. And if we will
I know my Star Wars toys.
Yeah, we'll have the same emotional thought about the Sith Trooper in 6 months' time. But, it's going to be great. I'm sure we're all going to cuddle with our Sith Troopers at night after. Well,
I do want to give a special shout out to Colby Mead, one of our great Coffee with Kenobi listeners. He sent me that Funko Pop of the Sith Trooper, and I got to say it is quite nice. I really like the texture on the armor, but of course it remains to be seen. Were you able to kind of glean what people were saying about the Sith Trooper when you were there? I saw a lot of people with armor.
Made jokes that just said it's a red stormtrooper. Everybody, like let's control ourselves for 5 minutes, which is true. Yeah. I mean, I think it's sort of weird. It seems like it could be like a very cool, big part of this new movie that they're just kind of like quietly introducing. I'm
guessing not.
You don't think so?
No, I just think it's something cool and nice. And because JJ is really great about not doing the spoiler thing, because I'm very anti-spoiler anyway. So I'm really like that he's running the show on this one. I feel like this is just sort of something to give out to the fans, just so they have something to kind of hold on to for a little bit.
Right. I was going to ask you something about this, but I was going to say that it's sort of interesting because, the last sort of like, the big thought kind of The Last Jedi was like the Sith are done, the Jedi are done, right? And then the first toy we get is
a Sith Trooper,
which is just so funny to me.
There's never been a Stormtrooper or anything related to the Empire that was officially Sith besides Palpatine and Vader, of course. Right. So that it's really odd, but then again, that's just, I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see until December to see what that's about, because it's definitely out of the norm. The last time the Jedi and Sith cross-pollinated with the Empire, the Republic, the Resistance, Rebellion, whatever, that ended up in the Clone Wars. So who knows? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying really hard not to speculate. But I will say, I do agree. Yeah, it's just a red stormtrooper, so there's nothing to panic about. It is fun. It's fun to have something, and who knows? Maybe at D23 we'll see more. But before we get to that, I want to talk to you about Marvel and Hall H, which I know this is, of course, Coffee with Kenobi is a Star Wars exclusive show. But come on, we're all Marvel fans too, and you got to be in the room where it happened. Thank you, Lin-Manuel.
I was there.
How cool! Yeah. Tell me about that whole experience.
It was amazing, and Kevin Feige is the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you know that there's a Star Wars reference in every single movie in Phase 2. I want to say.
Oh, I don't think I put that together.
Yeah,
I just thought and didn't think about.
And every single movie in Phase 2, someone gets their arm cut off. It's really
gosh.
interesting. Yeah, it's like Claw and Age of Ultron. It's, you know, all these characters, and that's Feige's Star Wars reference for that entire phase of movies.
And this is confirmed, or you're just a smart guy?
This is confirmed.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's like the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. So yeah, it was incredibly cool. And it was
Did
really.
you know there's something big going to happen? You just thought, or you just knew, hey, I got to call her?
I didn't hear anything. I mean, and I'm really close with a lot of people at Disney, and nobody was saying anything. And, you know, it was worth the surprise because, you know, it was like, we knew that Black Widow was coming, and we knew that Eternals was coming, and we knew that Shang-Chi was coming. But besides that, we had no idea who else was in the cast. You know, the guy who was cast as Shang-Chi, his deal was finalized on Tuesday, and the panel was on Saturday. Like, that's amazing. How close, you know? Yeah. And he was so charming, and you know, I'm really excited about all the Disney Plus stuff. That sounds wonderful. And the fact that the movies and TV shows are going to sort of like tie into each other a lot more explicitly is really exciting. I mean, they talked about how Scarlet Witch has her own show, obviously, called WandaVision, that looks really neat. But then she's also a big part of the second Doctor Strange movie. And it just seems really cool. And like, you know, the whole Marvel experiment up until this point has been something that had never been attempted, and it looks like they're not just sort of resting on their laurels. Like, you know what, we're going to tie in TV shows into this now, and we're going to experiment with genre. And I think what was really interesting is that you got this sense that Feige has nothing to prove anymore. He's conquered the box office. I mean, they announced that it was toppling Avatar's run at the panel. And so for this next sort of slot of movies, he's just going to do whatever he wants, you know, like a horror movie set in the MCU. Yes, please. Let's see that. I mean, these movies have not had a huge variation in terms of tone, so that's going to be really exciting.
Besides I think the Captain America movies are probably the biggest exception to that.
Well, they would
more like war and spy stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like everybody was like, Captain America Winter Soldier, it's like a 70s espionage movie. And you're like, oh, I'd like to see that. And then, of course, at the end, the world is in jeopardy and there's giant spaceships crashing into each other. And it's like, oh, okay. So this is still a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about the Doctor Strange announcement. I'm really excited about Thor.
I am too. That to me, that's the biggest home run because Chris Hemsworth and I never pronounce his name right. Taika Waititi, right?
Waititi, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they're together again, we're going to get that kind of chemistry. It's too bad we have to wait 2 years.
Yeah, but I mean, 2 years in the Marvel Universe scope of things, it's like, holy cow, this is only 2 years worth of movies and stuff too. That was the other amazing thing. It's like, wow, we're getting all of this really soon, and we're getting so much of it. It's sort of like, you know, it was pretty amazing. And then the whole Mahershala Ali twist at the end, which nobody knew about. And I love that Kevin Feige said, you know, people like to speculate on things. And, you know, he was kind of referencing the fact that the Thor news leaked last week and stuff like that. And he's like, but I don't think anybody's speculated or anything about this. And Mahershala comes out and puts the Blade hat on, and it was like, whoa.
Could you tell what that hat was? Because even like on the video, it's hard to tell even when they zoom in.
Yeah, when they zoomed in on the big monitors, you could tell. And then they followed that up with a kind of like title treatment.
Right.
But I mean, that's really, I mean, he's one of our most amazing actors working today. And the fact that he's joining the MCU is pretty exciting. And that character who, I think that Feige likes to kind of like resurrect characters who you've kind of forgotten about. And this kind of goes along with the Thor thing too, which is like, you know, Natalie Portman didn't have a great time on those movies. She was completely out of the loop. The fact that she was at the premiere of Endgame, I was shocked by. And then right before the Thor announcement, they announced this animated show called What If, which looks really cool. And they put a grid up of all the actors that are coming back. And if you even look at Moviefone's Twitter, I say, oh my God, they're bringing back Natalie Portman. This is amazing because, you know, she was one of the only actors who didn't come back for Endgame. I mean, they, they brought back Robert Redford from retirement to do a cameo, and she was like, nope. So
I thought but she was in Endgame. Was that just old footage?
That was archival footage, yeah. They didn't.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So something must have happened between when that was filmed and before this announcement, where a bridge was put out there. Or something.
I think that I think she's impressed, and as am I, with the diversity of the hires that Marvel has been doing recently. I mean, you look at the movies they announced, and there's an Asian Canadian director. There's a female director. There's a Pacific Islander director and Taika. And all the casts are very diverse. I think she probably responded to that. I think she responded to Taika's take on the material. But the fact that she's coming back is it just blew my mind that she's back and that she's Thor. That's so cool. It's great.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. When did you realize? I mean, she walks out with Mjolnir, right? Did people instantly make the connection? Oh, that means she's going to be Thor. Or did they just think, she's in
right
Thor?
Before that, they said, I think Taika said, I was writing this when we were making Ragnarok. Jason Aaron's The Mighty Thor was going on with her as Thor, and he said, there's only one person that could have come back to be Thor, and then she walked out with the hammer. And I think that Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson were already on stage, and that was the other.
How did they react when she came out with that?
They loved it, and the people loved when Tessa Thompson said, I'm the king of Asgard now, and I'm looking for my queen, because Marvel has a kind of an unfortunate history of kind of inferring LGBTQ scenarios on the press tour, but nothing's ever in the movie. So it'll be nice to actually have that kind of representation in a film explicitly stated, sure. which I think, there was a little red carpet afterwards, and Feige kind of confirmed to some journalists that yes, she is an LGBTQ character, and she'll be looking for her queen of Asgard. So I think there could be an interesting kind of love triangle between the three of them, which could be fun.
Yeah.
James Gunn confirmed that Guardians 3 takes place after Thor: Love and Thunder. So I think that they could be a part of it, perhaps. Oh,
wouldn't that be nice? That's kind of breaking here. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because as you know, there's a big theme park attraction coming to Epcot. So Imagineering would really love to get them into costume and not have to pay for it. So
I can imagine. Yeah. That's something I was going to ask you, and I hope Coffee with Kenobi listeners, you're enjoying this, because I know it's not Star Wars related, but Natalie Portman, of course, is a major Star Wars pedigree.
Yeah.
As Padme Amidala. Were you surprised that there were no mentions of incredibly over $1 billion film franchises like Black Panther and Spider-Man?
Well, the Spider-Man thing is interesting because I think at the time it hadn't passed $1 billion yet.
No, it was about a week away, I would guess.
Okay, so from what I understand, and I don't know if this is actually true, but this has been reported, is that Marvel can only retain the rights to the character if Far From Home made $1 billion. So he wasn't going to say, yeah, we got plans, when they didn't know if it was going to cross that threshold. But that is a very interesting point. And if you look at the calendar, there are a couple of dead spots where you could very easily squeeze the Spider-Man movie in. And from what I understand, everybody's, John Watts is coming back to direct, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's definitely on the table. I thought what was interesting was that Phase 4, as they're calling it, is all about mostly new characters or incredibly different scenarios. Yes, Thor's coming back, but she's Thor. Yes, Doctor Strange is coming back, but he's in a horror movie. It's sort of it's either new characters like the Eternals or Shang-Chi, or new storylines with established characters like Black Widow, Thor: Love and Thunder, and the Doctor Strange movie.
Well, so I hope that Chris Hemsworth also has the power of Thor too. I don't know if they can.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah,
that would be. If he wants to have a beer belly again and just play Xbox, I'm into that too. But it'll be interesting because it is the first. Okay, so we have a couple of questions too about this reveal, which is is this all of Phase 4, or
And so much for not saying we're doing phases. I'm glad the phases are there. We need that. Yeah, I like that.
They did a very cool sort of like sizzle reel right when the panel started for the Infinity Saga, which was like made you very happy, made you excited to get your Blu-ray of Endgame. But I think the name is kind of stupid. So is this all a phase 4? If it is, this is the only phase that has not ended with a team up film, because obviously phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
What name did you say you thought was stupid? Endgame?
No, they call it the Infinity Saga. They call it.
Oh yes, yeah. No, that's not necessary.
Yeah,
we don't.
But yeah, we know. I mean, we know just based on box office that Black Panther 2 is coming, Captain Marvel's coming. He casually mentioned mutants, and he casually mentioned Fantastic Four.
Right.
So those are obviously in play, and then obviously Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to happen, but after James Gunn makes another mismatched super hero team. Yeah. So it was very interesting, but that's also what I like. I like.
It's amazing that they can put out such an incredible quantity of movies, but still keep it fresh. And I think that you and I talked about this when you were on the show a couple of months ago, where we talked about why Lucasfilm and Star Wars is not necessarily able to do it with the success rate that Marvel is. And to me, it's because it's the pedigree of both franchises. Star Wars has never been one to put out rapid stuff. It's always been, in the old days, 3 years between films. And now 2 years between films, basically. And then you put the spinoffs in there too. But Marvel's been doing that. Marvel's kind of more of a streaming thing where it's also so much more tightly connected. And even though that you said they're not necessarily, they're all pretty much the same kind of thing, at least they do stuff that's a little bit different. I mean, they have different voices, right? Ant-Man doesn't have the same voice as Spider-Man does. There are certain elements that are similar, but they still are different enough that I think they're able to reinvent themselves a little bit more.
Right. It was interesting because I thought of Lucasfilm while I was watching this, and I was like, I thought to myself, there's no reason that Lucasfilm can't have a slate like this. Like, there really isn't, and I don't know.
I'm kind of glad they don't, to be honest.
Well, what I
like the build up and the wait, and just kind of letting things marinate a little bit.
That's true, but I also mean in terms of like pushing past the borders of what you already know about the Star Wars galaxy and trying new things tonally or with genre. It's just like, there seems to be a very limited vision of what a Star Wars movie is, and it would be really cool to see them give filmmakers with a voice the opportunity to make something unique in that, while still, adhering to the basic principles of the world.
Which I think was what The Last Jedi did perfectly.
It is, for sure. But I mean, we're still hemmed in by there's a Skywalker, blah, blah, blah. Do something totally outrageous, which, I
like
think,
Gem and the Holograms? That kind of outrageous?
Yes, totally outrageous. But, that's why I kind of like bemoan, which I've talked about before, bemoaning the Miller and Lord version of Solo, which, again, it would have been the same characters and blah, 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 but I think it would have been a little weirder and a little bit more fun. More of like what Taika did with Thor.
Oh, wouldn't that be interesting? Yeah, and maybe people weren't ready for that yet. Maybe they wanted the first voice like that to be from Rian Johnson. Hard to say. I'm sure in as time goes on, I'm sure we'll get more of these answers. Speaking of answers, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the D23 Expo. I have long wanted to go to this thing. And as I mentioned last week on the show, I'm going. I'm really excited about that. What can I expect? What can people who are going to the D23 Expo expect? I mean, obviously, people say, well, it's like Celebration, but it's Disney stuff. Well, I think it's more than that.
It is. And this year is going to be really cool because, it's the first year that they've had the Fox properties. So there's like there's a National Geographic panel, and Dr. Pol is going to be there. I don't know if you've ever watched Dr. Pol, but he is he's a veterinarian on a farm, and he treats all these different animals. And, the guys from Free Solo are going to be there. And there's a panel on The Simpsons with Matt Groening and a lot of the cast. And,
which is amazing.
It's going to be amazing, and also all the Disney Plus stuff. There's a whole panel on Friday. I'm sure you're going to be there. That is just about the Disney Plus slate. So I think you're going to get a really good sense of how the sort of like the operating system of it works. You're going to get to try it out. I believe there's actually going to be like kiosks set up there. I saw an article today about how people that go to D23, are going to be able to experience it first there. And there's so much exciting content. Obviously, The Mandalorian is probably what you and your listeners are most excited about. But there's a High School Musical show. There's a documentary about Imagineering. There's a series based on the great Ink and Paint book about the women of Walt Disney feature animation. And I mean, it's such an exciting time for Disney, and there's so many. I mean, you saw Lion King and Aladdin just crossed $1 billion in the past week. It's crazy. I mean, conceivably by the end of the year, they could have 10 movies that have crossed $1 billion in a year. That's got
to be the record. By the way, I heard you and Jim, of course, our good friend Jim Hill, on the latest fine tuning. I loved Aladdin.
I liked Aladdin a lot too.
And I may go so far as to say I enjoyed it more than the original, which I never thought.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'm serious.
Let's not get crazy.
I'm a crazy man.
You are crazy.
No, seriously. I think I was just enchanted by the choreography. The cast was brilliant. I love that it was familiar, but they added some new lines, and I like the twist at the end.
Right.
You can't go to a movie with your son or daughter. I mean, when my son is just loving life and enjoying and drinking in what's on the screen, it's hard for me not to join him on that ride.
Right. I mean, that's me when I saw Toy Story 4. Just imagine me with childlike glee.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's how I picture you all the time, except with a little more of an acerbic vocabulary.
Yes. So, I mean, it's just a fascinating time for Disney and Disney parks, obviously, with what happened with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge still fresh in people's minds. It'll be interesting to see how they spin that, but obviously they've got one opening in Florida at the end of the month. So
that's the rumor.
We'll see if they maybe have learned some things from Anaheim, maybe not.
I still maintain it was because they did such a paradoxical job of managing the crowds and also warning people the caveat, hey, we don't want you to be disappointed, but this is a possibility. And so people kind of took their advice to heart. That's my sort of belief.
Yeah.
And the fact they're not letting, cast members in or annual pass holders. I mean, that's the bulk of their guests anyway.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we could do a 6-part series about what went wrong on Galaxy's Edge. I also just think that opening that land with essentially one attraction that you don't have to pay for was a boneheaded move. Because yes, you can build a lightsaber. Yes, you can build
the best thing ever.
Right, but it's setting you back literally hundreds of dollars. And if you have kids and they each want a lightsaber or they each want a droid, I mean,
next time, Johnny, we'll go back and it'll be your turn.
Right. That's what they wanted people to say.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to say in my house.
You're going to get a blue milk and we're leaving. Get your things and let's go. But, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming out of every sort of part of the company. And, I think it's going to be a really fun, cool year. And if you've never been there, there's a lot of great vendors there. There's obviously a lot of exclusive merchandise. Mickey's of Glendale, which is the Imagineering shop that I would, visit on far too many lunch breaks while I was working at that campus. We'll be there with exclusive stuff. There's an entire separate pin trading store that'll be there. I'm sure the Imagineering Pavilion will be amazing. I mean, it's just a really fun, cool weekend. It's insane. Your patience will be tested, but it'll be worth it. Everybody has a good attitude, and it's just it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. So I'm looking forward to it.
So do you think I should really plan out a bunch of stuff, or should I just kind of see where the wind takes me?
I would plan, there's so many great panels every day that I would just plan on doing a couple of things a day and just letting the wind take you. I mean, there's so many things going on that I'm sure you'll get reserved seating for a few things, but otherwise you can pretty much walk into whatever you want. There's like a cosplay fashion show, I believe, on the first night that you can just kind of watch. And I think that Alan Menken is doing something this year, which you should definitely try to see, because he does a kind of like one-man show type thing. I mean, I got to talk to him for Aladdin, and it was literally me, and he was at a piano, and it was like one of the greatest like 5 minutes of my life. So, I
loved your interview with Hans Zimmer, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
That was really cool.
I know. We got to get him on the Mission Impossible.
That's podcast. Right. You have a way with people. If only you'd show that on our show once in a while.
I know. I need to bring my A game. I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, I think it's going to be really great. I'm sure you'll have fans coming up to you saying, Dan Z, oh my God, can you sign this? Can you sign that? So you just got to be prepared for that too. Your level of, I won't call it celebrity. I'll call it notoriety or infamy. Sure, we'll follow you. It'll be like what you were supposed to do at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, where your reputation will follow you around the
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but
I need to get on the jeans jacket press list. Then I'll be a celebrity.
You do.
Yeah.
Listen, I pay for all my jeans. I just happen to love Levi's, and if they're listening and want to send me something, God bless them. But I'm paying for everything. Yeah, but yeah, you're gonna be very tired.
That is not done. Levi's is not done or ask for your address, so I'll get that to them for you.
Okay, good.
I'm excited. It's gonna be great fun. Speaking of great fun, as I mentioned at the top of the show, you've got some incredible podcasts. Tell us about Light the Fuse and Fine Tuning.
Fine Tuning is the podcast I do with Jim Hill.
I know that guy.
Yeah, he's a raconteur, a father figure to me. Jim is an absolutely brilliant historian and storyteller, and he is able to kind of synthesize disparate parts of Disney history in a really fun way. And we talk all about animation, things that are happening in animation, anniversaries, things that are upcoming, things that I've done this week. I saw about 30 minutes of Gemini Man, the new Will Smith movie, which uses some pretty cutting edge animation. So we're going to be talking about that.
Cool.
And so that's great. So that's Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor, which I suggest everybody listen to. And then my other podcast, completely unrelated, is called Light the Fuse, and it's all about the Mission Impossible franchise. We talk about the movies, we talk about the TV shows. We've had everybody from Brad Bird, who was offered a Star Wars movie at one point, to Christopher McQuarrie, who has worked on Star Wars movies, and everybody in between. Paul Hirsch, who edited Star Wars, we did a 3-part interview with him,
which was awesome.
Which he told some good Star Wars stories too. Yes. We were very anxious to learn about the opening crawl and stuff like that, and he gave us some good skinny. So that's about it. I encourage everybody to subscribe to both.
And check out your Patreon too, right? You got a Patreon.
Yes, Patreon / Light the Fuse, I believe is what it is. We're almost breaking even, so please. Yeah, patreon.com / Light the Fuse. You'll get some cool perks there if you sign up. And obviously subscribe to the Coffee with Kenobi Patreon. That's really what we should be plugging.
I'm saying.
I think that's the best thing there is to do.
And at this point, we don't have any Coffee with Kenobi denim, but if we do, I would like you to be our spokesperson / model for that.
I would love that. As soon as you get that jacket, I will be rocking it.
Well, of course you will. Hey, Drew, thanks again for coming back on Coffee with Kenobi.
Anytime, literally anytime.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
Oh, wait. This is interesting.
You found something.
I'm about to let everyone in on the secret.
It's news time, and Tom is back. Tom, we've got some cool stuff going on. We really haven't gotten a chance to catch up. I will say that our Patreon pour-over show that we had last week on the Coffee with Kenobi feed, boy, people love that. I'm so glad, because it's a blast to chat with you and Corey every week. So, hey, let's do it again, man.
Yeah, we should. But, hey, how about the news?
How about it?
Well, Disney Plus announced this week that it will give its first public preview of the app experience at the D23 Expo, along with a sneak peek screening of High School Musical, the series. This will be the first time 3 of Disney's signature streaming services, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu, will showcase their variety of original and exclusive content at their immersive show floor pavilions. Guests will be the first to experience live demos, never seen before content, and special experiences. The Disney Plus service will launch in the U.S. on November 12th.
So super cool. And obviously, as we revealed last week, I'll be at the D23 Expo.
Yes.
People are so excited. And I think what Marvel did at San Diego Comic-Con last week with Hall H and all the huge announcements with the films and all the live action stuff. And then the What If animated series with some of the biggest talent in all the Marvel films coming back for this. I mean, the first one, this isn't Star Wars related, but that's kind of been the theme for our show today with Drew anyway, is going to be a what if Peggy Carter got the super soldier serum, and Chris Evans and oh my gosh, I can't think of her name all of a sudden. They're both going to be back, which is great.
That is cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. Of course, we're going to find out a lot more about The Mandalorian than we already did. And hopefully we'll get some news about future Disney Plus Star Wars streaming stuff. Maybe we'll learn more about the Diego Luna Cassian Andor series, and maybe we'll finally find out about whatever this third series is for Disney Plus 2 for Star Wars. Man, that's going to be awesome.
Oh, it is going to be fantastic, and I am so excited for this service. When I think about all the services that we have, I mean, we've got Netflix and we've got Amazon Prime, and there's several others that we probably could go for to complete everything. This is going to do it for me. I mean, I'll probably keep Netflix because the girls and I love The Dragon Prince and She-Ra, and I'm so close to starting watching Stranger Things that I know I will love that, but the Disney Plus is going to have it all. I know. Did you get a chance to watch?
I'm almost through season 1. Oh man. And the D&D stuff, you're going to be in heaven. But it's pretty. I mean, you're not going to be able to watch it with the lights off. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. But hey, how about a rundown of some of the things that'll be available on Disney Plus?
By the way, real quick, Haley Atwell is who played Peggy Carter. I don't know why
that's
her name
right.
slipped my mind.
That's right.
Yeah, let's hear the rundown.
Well, it wasn't long ago that Disney released a rundown of what will be available on the Disney Plus streaming service that comes alive on November 12th, as I mentioned. For Star Wars fans, there will be quite a bit actually available right away, including episodes 1 through 7 and Rogue One. Now, of course, the Clone Wars animated series will be there. Now, that's not including the new 12 episodes that was announced at last year's San Diego Comic-Con, and we got the preview at Celebration. Those will come out sometime in the first year of the service. But the regular Clone Wars animated series that we all know and love, those will be available to rewatch, and I definitely need to do that before the new episodes come. Okay, And then Star Wars Rebels will be available. All 4 seasons of that will be available right away. And a lot of non-Star Wars material, like all the Pixar films, excluding Toy Story 4, which of course just came out this summer. That'll be available day 1. And then from Marvel, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 3, Thor, Dark World will all be available day 1. And then there is a massive list of Disney classics like 101 Dalmatians, Bambi, Cars, Frozen, Lady and the Tramp, Mary Poppins, and more. So lots and lots of great stuff, new and old, will be available.
Oh, it's like it's a gold mine. It's an absolute entertainment gold mine. It's going to be well worth the price of admission, I think.
Absolutely, especially at the price point they've put it at.
Yeah,
it's probably worth double that. But this price point is going to blow everyone else out of. I just have no doubt. So anyway, I'll just take a deep breath. Hey, speaking of some original content that will be on the Disney Plus streaming app, The Mandalorian director Jon Favreau has been posting pictures on Instagram teasing fans of Star Wars and The Mandalorian. Most recently was I don't know if you saw it, was a notebook paper sketch by Dave Filoni. It had an IG-8, what looks like IG-88 or an IG unit screaming music, and he was surrounded by yellow notes coming off of him and around him. Well, this week, StarWars.com released a compilation of all the tweets going back to the first, which was, if you recall, a 3-sentence teaser summary of what the upcoming live-action television series would entail. I suspect as we get closer to November, we're going to start getting more and more information, D23, about the program, which will air on the upcoming Disney Plus streaming app.
Man, what do you think about this?
Oh, man. They had me at Celebration with that whole panel in the massive. You were in there and I was not, but just all the energy and excitement. And I was just, as I was picking up my Celebration stuff, I came across the poster, and it just gives me chills. I'm so pumped for this. Jon Favreau is magnificent.
Yeah, he's
and
great.
This cast is exciting, and I'm just dying to know where is this going to take us.
Well, and then I just saw the live action Lion King, which he directed, and the guy is a wonderful storyteller. I've liked him ever since I saw Swingers when he was in with Vince Vaughn, which is basically how they both got on the map as actors. And of course, he is going on to have a prolific career. And at the D23 Expo, he's going to be one of the Disney Legends named. So I'm unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get there in time to see that on Friday morning. But man, he's awesome. He clearly loves Star Wars. I hope one day to get to chat with him because he knows his stuff. And can you imagine being in a room with him and Dave Filoni together and we're all chatting? Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great. That's like one of those like
hashtag goals.
You know, if you could have dinner with anybody in they would be on there. You know,
like we did that on a pour-over about a year ago.
We did.
That was fun.
Yeah. Totally did. So exciting stuff, no doubt, to come out regarding The Mandalorian. So in our last story, let's do a quick recap of the San Diego Comic-Con Lucasfilm Publishing panel, because we have not talked about that. I know it's been a while, and that's people have let it sink in, but you and I have not spoken about it. So here's a real quick rundown, and then we can just sort of pick and choose what we want to talk about. Del Rey will be releasing a print copy of their wildly popular audiobook, Dooku Jedi Lost. The print version will hit the shelves on October 1st. Also hitting the shelves in October will be the Journey to the Rise of Skywalker publishing programs, which, if it's like the other Journey 2 programs, it will include a multitude of literature, including comics, novels, young adult novels, children's books. So we've got that to look forward to starting in October. And in other news from the panel, the upcoming book, Star Wars Myths and Fables by George Mann, will include 9 stories within that text. And perhaps stealing the show was the announcement of a 4-issue Marvel comic miniseries written by none other than Charles Soule, titled Star Wars Rise of Kylo Ren, which will hit the shelves of your comic shops before episode 9 in December. So what caught your eye?
I mean, what's bigger than that? I mean, if I understand correctly, this is going to be the story of how he transitions from Ben Solo to Kylo Ren. I mean, there's no better guy to write it than Charles Soule, who clearly, as we've talked about, and as the Comics with Kenobi guys have talked about, who is done so much with Darth Vader and Poe Dameron, and he's just a genius. I got to be honest, I feel like a story like this feels more like something that would be cinematic, or at least like on Disney Plus, you know. Yep. But far be it from me. I mean, if it's not, then that must mean there's a very good reason for it. I have complete faith in Charles Soule and what Lucasfilm wants to do and the creatives behind it. So to me, this is like, that is huge. I'm insanely excited for that.
Yeah, I really thought, as you had just mentioned, I really thought this would be something that we would explore and discover in the film, which tells me that there's even deeper story that needs to be put into the cinematic film. That and you know, this by no way takes away from the impact that Marvel Comics or a comic format In fact, if anything, I think this news just shows how important the comic format is, and their oh shoot, I'm at a loss of words. Basically, I want to say how important Charles Soule is to the Star Wars story. That they've chosen him to tell this story, which we have been on the edge of our seats since, the trailer of The Force Awakens, when we caught little glimpses of this idea, that Kylo Ren has this pack of, soldiers that travels with them. Or if it wasn't the trailer, it was definitely in Rey's dream in the film. So that is huge. But I am also...
Well, the cover to the visual dictionary shows one of the Knights of Ren, too, which sort of ties in with that as well.
Yeah, so this is a story we've been waiting for.
Yes.
And I love that it's coming out in a comic format written by Charles Soule.
That's great.
I did want to find out from you, because I know that you are pumped about this book, The Star Wars Myths and Fables.
Oh, yeah.
Were you anticipating one solo story, or did you have in mind that it would be a multiple story book, that is going to have these myths and fables?
No, I thought it was going to be like a group of quick one shots, like 20 or so stories. Yeah.
All right, so this is going to come out in the same format or in the format. I guess in my mind, I didn't really look that much into the title, and now that I look at the title, I'm like, oh well, duh. Of course, it's going to be multiple stories. Yeah. I saw it as kind of one big myth and story about something that we wanted to know. So this is good. This sheds light, and it makes me even more excited for the book, besides just that awesome cover.
That cover, I sent that
knockout
to our D&D text group, because I knew everybody would appreciate it. Like, look at Jedi with a dragon. And the lightsaber that Jedi is clearly looking for. That's a CWK pour-over insider joke for our Dungeons and Dragons group. But no,
that's right.
I'm hoping to get heck, it's going to come out in a couple of days. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. I'm almost through the Galaxy's Edge novel that Delroy has coming out in a couple weeks too. And I got to tell everybody, it is a darn good read. And it takes place after Phasma, the book Phasma by Delilah Dawson, who of course is the writer for this Galaxy's Edge book too. So there's some fun stuff in there. I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to say yet or what's public, but it's going to be it's a blast. It's a lot of fun.
Well, very good. Yeah. Hey, wanted to wrap up real quick with, don't forget that season 1 of Star Wars Resistance will be released on DVD on August 20th. Now, the release will have bonus features, including exclusive sneak peek at the making of the show with the cast and crew, 4 audio commentaries with, listen to this, Christopher Sean, Scott Lawrence, Josh Brenner, and Myrna Velasco. That, I have no doubt, will be fun. And then it will also include 12 shorts. Yeah,
I never saw those shorts, surprisingly.
I did not either.
So I'm going to watch them when I get the Blu-ray. That's going to be great. Yeah, I'm excited, and I hope that everyone goes out and buys this thing on Blu-ray, because the more people that buy it, the more likely we'll get more stuff, more seasons, more merchandise, because it's a great quality show with a wonderful cast.
Oh, it's a terrific cast, and thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, I just watched the final episode of season 1 again, because my daughter hadn't seen it yet. And oh my gosh, and I watched it in the context of, remember you and I saw episode 1 of season 2 at Celebration.
That's right.
And so watching it in context of knowing what happens next was even better. Oh my gosh.
How fun. I didn't think about it watching that again based on what we know. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, Ollie, how fun you and I got to sit there and experience that together for the first time. That was great.
That was great. That was wonderful.
That was great. And think about this. The day of this recording is July 30th. Mm-hmm. This show will be released on August 1st. But in a year, we'll be so close to the next celebration, which is really kind of mind-boggling.
It is.
Really is. Well, hey, Tom, thanks so much for coming back and doing the news.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure.
We'll go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, my son, Mason Z, is going to come on the show and talk about his thoughts on his first viewings of The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. It is going to be so much fun. We'll be right back after the break. This is Coffee with Kenobi.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Try listening to them on audio, Featuring sound effects, top-notch narrators, and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. From Luke Skywalker to Kylo Ren to Admiral Akbar, you'll recognize all of your favorite characters. Listen to movie tie-ins like The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, and original titles such as Thrawn Treason, Alphabet Squadron, Master and Apprentice, and the audiobook exclusive Dooku Jedi Lost. With Star Wars audiobooks, you'll have plenty of Star Wars listening to keep you entertained. Available wherever audiobooks are sold. Like so many of you, I have a busy life. I'm a teacher, I run this podcast, and I have my wonderful family. So anything I can do to stay organized is huge for me. Cue Bubble Up, B-U-B-L-U-P. Bubble Up is an all-new app available everywhere that is an incredible resource for organizing and managing your life, as well as a fun way to learn about almost any topic you can possibly imagine. Keep all of your important links, photos, videos, music, documents, and more together, visually organized the way you want it. Whether I am researching stuff for my podcast episodes and planning a trip to Disney or getting things ready for my classroom, Bubble Up is my favorite way to get things visually organized the way that I want it. Plus, I can create a web page called a Bubble Up Roll and share it with my friends. Use Bubble Up for work, entertainment, and personal use. Get ready to take fun and organization to a whole new level. Go to bubbleup.com/promo/Coffee with Kenobi and activate Coffee with Kenobi's exclusive promo code to get started. When planning your trip to Batuu, since it's opening in Florida in just a couple of weeks and it's already open in California, you need to use MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. They have signature service and expert advice to help clients maximize their vacation time and dollar. There is a no-cost, no-obligation quote when you use the service, and they also proactively adjust the booking if the rate goes down. They help your family enjoy everything the Disney theme parks and the cruise lines have to offer, help plan every detail, and can share invaluable tips. Be sure to go to our affiliate link, which can be found in the show notes on the front of our webpage or on social media, and sign up for a free, no-obligation quote. Before we continue the show, I want to thank our CWK Patreon contributors: Jason Hall, Rebecca Raven, Dennis Keithley, Colby Mead, Nancy Evans, Dave Ritchie, Ross Halliban, Frank Mulder, Alexander Moylan, Melinda Wolf, Aaron Harris, Chris Kavarka, Angela Sauce, Mediocre Jedi, Christine Turk, Sean Reed, Kurt McKellen, Dan Ream, Brian Harding, Blake Weaver, Jim Capron, Caroline Maselli, Chris Metz, LJ Souter, Thea Selby, Jeff Ellis, Daz Davies, Christian Dale, Brian McKinney, Connie Shee, Jared Cantor, BJ Smith, Eric Struthers, Nick Deco, and Mark Suter. A contribution to Patreon means you are helping out our show each and every month. If you donate $5 or more a month, you get access to CWK Pour-Over. It is our exclusive weekly podcast not heard anywhere else, with myself, Tom Gross, and Corey Club talking about popular culture, naturally Star Wars, and some behind-the-scenes and exclusive reveals about the workings and upcoming events for Coffee with Kenobi. We also have a $10 feature where you can get CWK Lens, which is a video I do every day to show you and tell you the latest going on in Coffee with Kenobi, share thoughts, and give you some behind-the-scenes images and videos not heard anywhere else. Very soon, you're going to get to see a lot more of my Coffee with Kenobi studios, which I've redone even more, and I'm really excited about sharing it with each and every one of you. Now, what do your contributions go to? You go to basically helping to pay the bills. Coffee with Kenobi is this podcast I'm so blessed to be a part of, but it costs money. There's time away from my family. There is internet costs. There is the computer and technology and the microphones and video and all kinds of stuff. And of course the travel. None of that happens without your generous contributions, and I can't thank you enough. But more importantly, 10% of each contribution for Patreon goes to the St. Jude Children's Hospital in honor of my deceased aunt. It is one way I want to honor her, and she was always such a great supporter of me, and I would like to give back to all those wonderful children and their families who are struggling to fight against something they shouldn't have to. So remember, not only are you helping out Coffee with Kenobi and getting exclusive podcasts, coffee mugs, t-shirts, videos, and so much more, but 10% of your donation goes to the St. Jude Children's Hospital each and every month. If you have any questions, go to www.patreon.com/coffeewithkenobi. Check it out and sign up today. We are back, and this is a return of sorts because Mason Z is back on the program. Mason, welcome back to Coffee with Kenobi.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, so you had a bit of a brief hiatus because You have seen, of course, Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, The Phantom Menace, and Attack of the Clones. And then we can just do them both now, actually. Now you have seen both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Okay, so The Force Awakens, full disclosure, usually when you watch a brand new show, we record your thoughts right away. But for whatever reason, life got busy. And you've seen The Force Awakens twice, but we have never talked about it on the show. So let's start out with The Force Awakens. What'd you think about that movie?
I thought it was super cool.
What'd you like about it?
It's hard to remember because it was like a month ago or so.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Tell us. This is the movie which, of course, first introduced us to Rey and Finn and Kylo Ren. Oh, and Poe, too, of course. Tell me what you thought about each of those characters when you first saw them in The Force Awakens. First, let's start with Rey.
I like that she's a Jedi, and she didn't even train with the Force when she fought Kylo.
That's right, and when she went against him, as soon as she relaxed and let go, she was quite a force against Kylo Ren, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
What was Kylo Ren's deal in The Force Awakens? What was he trying to do in the whole movie?
He was trying to find Luke.
Yeah, why does he want to find Luke so much?
Because he wants to fight him?
Yeah, he wants to get rid of all of the Jedi because he is in the First Order. What did you think of the First Order, and how is it different from the Empire?
It's different from the Empire because the Empire has Darth Vader and the First Order has Snoke.
Oh, that is a really good point. The Stormtroopers are a little bit different looking in The Force Awakens too, aren't they?
And they look a little bit cooler.
Oh, you think so? How come?
I just like how their costumes are like cooler and stuff.
If you look up in my office right up there, see there is First Order one, and then there is one from Star Wars Empire and Jedi.
Where's First Order?
See, right up there? Right above.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm looking at that you can't see right now is in my studio. Of course, in front of me, I have all of the vintage Kenner figures on display, but above that, I have a number of carded figures, including ones from The Force Awakens. So back to The Force Awakens, what did you think of Poe Dameron?
He was cool, too.
How come? Well, when you meet him, he is first with BB-8.
I like BB-8, too.
Tell me what you like about BB-8 and Poe.
I like BB-8 because he can, like, have a funny electric shot there, like, ow, ow, my foot.
And what do you like about Poe Dameron?
I like that he is like a cool blaster and he gives it to Finn.
That's right, and how good of a pilot is he?
A really good one.
Here's a tricky question. Is he a better pilot or Han Solo?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't think you can go wrong with either one.
Yeah.
Or Hera from Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, yeah.
And what we haven't talked about too much on the show is that Mason has seen the first 3 seasons of Star Wars Rebels, and we're about to start season 4. So you are well versed in all of these Star Wars pilots. Let's move on to Finn. What do we know about Finn in The Force Awakens?
I like that he is like a cool shaped thingy blaster.
Oh, yeah. And when we first start the movie, he is on the First Order. But then why does he change and go to the Resistance?
Because he finds out that the First Order is bad.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to be mean or bad. He wants to be nice to people. So he escapes with the help of
Poe Dameron.
That's right. And they land on Jakku. They meet Rey. And then, of course, we know what happens. Eventually, they end up on the Millennium Falcon, and they meet Han Solo. What was it like to see Han Solo as an older person in The Force Awakens?
It was kind of cooler and kind of not.
Oh, really? Tell me why.
Because it was like his jacket and stuff like that.
Was that part cool?
Yes.
And what part, you said kind of not. What part was kind of not cool?
About like the hair.
His hair? What do you mean? Because it was gray? Mm-hmm. Is that not cool? Do you think Daddy's hair is going to get gray someday?
No.
I think that's very kind that you think that, but everybody gets a little bit of salt and pepper in their hair. Did you know that's what it's called? Yeah. Do you think you'll ever get gray hair?
No.
No? Okay. Well, maybe you won't. So anyway, so Han Solo and Chewbacca are there. And did I say Chewbacca? Who's that? Chewbacca, I mean. And they eventually go and they eventually blow up Starkiller Base, which was very exciting. And you mentioned earlier about Rey defeating Kylo Ren. Do you remember the scene where Kylo Ren is trying to get the lightsaber? Or do you want to talk about what happens with Han Solo?
No.
You do remember what happens, of course.
Yeah, I do.
Were you surprised that... First, were you surprised that Kylo Ren was the son of Han Solo and Princess Leia?
He told me that before the movie.
Yeah, you know, I did tell you that. I'm not a spoiler person, but I told you that because your friends on the school bus and at school were telling you all the things about Star Wars, and I thought, if I don't just show you the movie, everybody's going to ruin it for you, so I just told you that part of it. But I didn't tell you that Kylo Ren kills Han Solo. What did you think when you saw that? Were you shocked?
I was like, he's in the next movie. That was a fake one. What?
Were you surprised and sad?
Yep.
Yeah, but the good guys eventually win. Han Solo is one of our favorites. Is he one of your favorites?
Yeah.
Me too. At the end of The Force Awakens, Rey defeats Kylo Ren and Starkiller Base gets destroyed. And then Rey leaves because she goes with Chewbacca at the request of General Leia to go to find Luke since they have the map to Luke Skywalker. And then what happens at the very, very end of the movie when Rey finally meets Luke for the first time?
He tries to hand him his lightsaber.
And then the movie ends. And then you didn't find out what happens between Rey and Luke when Rey hands Luke his lightsaber. Were you frustrated by the end of that, or did you think it was cool?
I thought it was kind of cool and kind of frustrating.
How come?
Because it didn't show that.
And you wanted to know what was going to happen.
Yeah, I did.
So I had to wait 2 years to find out. What happened. Everybody had to find out. But you only had to wait, maybe a month and a half, 2 months. So you've just seen literally, we give kind of a quicker version of The Force Awakens because it was a while ago and it's getting a little bit late here where we're recording. But we literally just ended The Last Jedi. And Mason, I have a feeling that I know you loved The Force Awakens, right? Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling that you loved The Last Jedi.
Yep.
Tell us about The Last Jedi. How do you compare The Last Jedi to The Force Awakens?
Kind of the same.
You like them both the same?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, at the beginning of this, you find out finally what happens when Rey hands Luke the lightsaber. What does Luke do?
He grabs it and he's like, I'll just throw it.
Were you surprised by him throwing the lightsaber?
Yes, yes. How
come? What did you think was going to happen?
I thought, he's going to do it. And I was like, what?
Did you think, why? So for most of the movie, Luke doesn't want to help Rey. Why doesn't he want to help her?
Because Kylo Ren.
What do you mean by that? It is Kylo Ren, you're correct, but why does that stop him? What does he remember about Kylo Ren?
He destroyed the thing where he taught.
Yeah, he destroyed his school where he was teaching a new generation of Jedi, and he always blamed himself. He was always angry at himself for Kylo turning into Kylo. But you told me something pretty smart when we were watching the movie when I said, whose fault is it? Should he blame himself? What did you say?
It wasn't Luke's fault. It was Kylo's fault because he wanted to turn to the dark side.
Yeah, and we all make choices, and the choices we make, we have to live with those choices. So it really wasn't Luke's fault at all. Okay, so tell me about Rey. What has Rey learned? How has Rey grown as a Force wielder in The Last Jedi?
She's grown a lot.
What has she learned to do, or how can you tell she's stronger in the Force?
And it was funny, I would go down, they were like, hey, that's my barrel.
Oh, you're talking about the caretakers, and they kept getting things smashed. About Rey and Kylo Ren talking throughout The Last Jedi. Wasn't that weird?
Yeah.
And you didn't know until Snoke tells us, but how did it end up they could talk to each other?
Snoke made them.
Yeah, he tricked them. Why did he do that?
Because he wanted them to both come to him.
And he is a bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and bad guys don't usually like good guys to be around. The good guys will stop the bad guys. And they'll try to make them not be bad or try to bring them to justice.
a bad guy stopped a bad guy.
Oh, tell me about that.
It was funny how Snoke told Kylo Ren to try to get Rey. The lightsaber was pulling Rey's way, and he twisted it towards Snoke, and he said, "Nothing can defeat me." Ow!
You were shocked with that part, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I was like, ha ha, Snoke, you lose.
Did you think that Kylo was going to hurt Rey at that part?
Kind of and kind of not.
Yeah, I think that's the purpose. I think that's what they wanted you to feel, and it definitely was a good job that they did. And then you had that epic fight between Rey and Kylo Ren against all those Praetorian guards. Tell me about that.
That was like the coolest fight ever, but not.
How come?
Because, Kylo Ren, Luke.
Oh yeah, the Kylo Ren Luke one is pretty powerful, but this one was pretty great too. Yeah. So as far as lightsaber duels go, you've seen Darth Maul against Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
And Obi-Wan against Darth Vader.
Yep. And Luke against Darth Vader twice. And Yoda against Count Dooku. And now you've seen this. And
Obi-Wan and Anakin against Count Dooku.
Oh, that's right. Good job. So do you think this one with Rey and Kylo was better than all those?
Kind of.
They're all pretty cool. So it's okay to like a lot of them at the same.
Yeah, it's pretty much that way.
That's a pretty big question. So it's a lot to think about. But at the very end of the movie, Luke and Kylo Ren face each other. Tell me about that.
That was like the coolest thing ever.
I agree. That might be my favorite scene in all the Star Wars movies ever.
Really?
Yeah.
My favorite might be that or Yoda facing Count Dooku.
That one's good too. So when they kept blasting and blasting at Luke, what did you think was happening?
He's blocking all those.
Yeah, and then when the smoke cleared and he didn't have his lightsaber out, but he was just walking, what went through your mind?
Oh, he just put it back.
That's true. He just put his lightsaber back. What do you think Kylo Ren was thinking?
He was like, how can he do that?
He was probably a little scared of Luke. I think he was afraid Luke was going to win.
And he did and kind of didn't.
Yeah, I think that he did win, but when you first realized that Luke, how did you first realize that Luke wasn't even there in the first place?
Because you told me.
Because when we watched the movie, it was hard to tell, wasn't it?
Yep, it really was.
You were confused, but you're also surprised and excited. And then what happens to Luke at the end?
He dies.
Yeah, he becomes one with the Force. And why did that happen?
Because he had to use powers for him to be planet to planet to planet.
That's right. And that used so much energy. But why did he sacrifice himself?
Because he wanted to help them.
He helped the Resistance escape, just like another movie, too.
Obi-Wan helping Luke escape when he was fighting Darth Vader.
That's right, in the original Star Wars movie, which we also call A New Hope, as we established at the beginning of this little segment right here.
That's a cool one, too.
That's a very cool one. So, were you surprised? What was the things that surprised you the most about this movie?
That Snoke was gone and Captain Phasma was gone.
Oh, yeah. Do you like Captain Phasma?
Yeah.
And do you think that when she lost that it was too easy for her to get beat, or do you think that was tricky?
Too easy.
Oh, really? How come?
Because Finn was like, hey there.
Oh, that's true. But I think there's another scene that surprised you, if not more than the Snoke one, maybe as much. Do you know what it was?
What?
Yoda.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of Yoda coming back?
I was like, is he in the Force or what?
Weren't you excited to see Yoda again?
I was like, Yoda, yay!
You did say that. And remember I told you...
It's party.
Oh, boy. Do you remember me telling you the voice of Yoda is also the voice of who else?
Oh, Piggy.
Miss Piggy, yeah. Not the Miss Piggy from Muppet Babies, at least the new cartoon version. But yes, in the original, Miss Piggy is voiced by Frank Oz, who, of course, voices Yoda in The Last Jedi. It's a great movie. So now I'm curious. Do you want to try to rank your Star Wars movies from your most favorite to your least favorite?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So my first might be The Last Jedi, and then The Force Awakens, and then Return of the Jedi, and then Attack of the Clones, and then The Phantom Menace, and then A New Hope, and then Empire Strikes Back.
Wow, that's a great list. So you liked The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi more than the original Star Wars.
Yep.
But but Return of the Jedi is your favorite of the first three.
Yeah.
So, dude, you have now seen 7 Star Wars movies.
That's cool.
This is amazing. What else did you see recently? It's not Star Wars related, but I know you're excited to talk about this one too. What else did I show you the other day for the first time?
The Avengers.
The Avengers. Yeah, I showed you the original Avengers movie. So you've seen that, and you've seen Spider-Man Far From Home. Those are the only two Marvel movies you're going to see for a while. But that was fun too.
And they're really cool.
They are pretty cool. How do you compare Avengers to The Last Jedi?
Kind of more and kind of the same.
Kind of more and kind of the same. How come? Tell me about that.
Because they're both like cool. Because one has lightsabers and one has a cool Captain America.
And they have a Hulk.
And Loki's like, we have an army, but we have a Hulk.
Yeah, Tony Stark says we have a Hulk. And he was right. That was pretty fun. Do you want to make the noise that Loki made after Hulk smashed him? We also watched the outtakes, the gag reel from the Avengers Blu-ray, and caught that. That was pretty entertaining. Well, it is always entertaining, Mason Z, to have you on Coffee with Kenobi. I'm so glad that I got to experience The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi with you.
I had fun.
I am so glad. And when The Rise of Skywalker comes out, I'll see it first, naturally. But if it's okay, maybe that will be the very first Star Wars movie you ever see in theaters. How does that sound?
Cool.
It'll be great. People will be clapping and cheering, and you're going to be right there enjoying every little bit of it. Mason, thanks again so much for being on Coffee with Kenobi.
Bye, everyone.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are the podcast you're looking for. This is.
Before we close out the show, I want to thank our CWK sponsors: Penguin Random House Audio, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, Bubble Up, and One Nation Coffee. Please support them the way they support our podcasts, and remember to listen to new and archive shows of Coffee with Kenobi wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, YouTube, where you can find the audio as well as some occasional videos, and of course our website, www.coffeewithkenobi.com, or wherever you enjoy listening to your favorite shows. And if you listen to the show through iTunes, please leave us a review. You can also find us on social media apps such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and would love for you to check us out on all of those places. Be sure to listen to our CWK family of shows too, including Legends Library, Resistance Reactions, Comics with Kenobi, and Lattes with Leia. Please leave a review for each of their shows as well, and be sure to subscribe to each of them individually on their own respective feeds. In addition to the places I just mentioned for Coffee with Kenobi, you can find me twice a month on the podcast Looking at Lucasfilm, part of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, as well as on Twitter at Mr. Zer, M-R-Z-E-H-R. You can find my writing on CWK's website, as well as StarWars.com, where I'm an official blogger there, and on IGN, where I contribute articles on Star Wars, as well as some other popular culture topics. Don't forget to check out www.patreon.com/coffeewithkenobi to help support the show, as well as get access to CWK Brover, our exclusive podcast not heard anywhere else. There are also t-shirts, coffee mugs, and much more. And don't forget, 10% of your Patreon contribution goes directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital each and every month. I want to thank our guests again, Drew Taylor, Tom Gross, and of course, Mason Z. And especially, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me each and every week for a cup of coffee. Can't tell you how much I appreciate you seriously taking time out of your busy schedule. I know how busy I am. I know you are in a very similar situation. So I appreciate you breaking down the Star Wars mythology and the saga with me. It really is the best mythology. I say it every week now, and it's because it's true. I can't think of better people to discuss it with than each and every one of you. Until next time, everybody, have a great rest of your week and enjoy these last month. Well, I guess this last month of summer. Summer's closing a little bit earlier for me. Personally, I'm going to be back to school in a couple of weeks. But that's okay. It will just recharge me because of all of the great conversation we've had. this entire summer. So until next time, everyone, this is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Try listening to them on audio. Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. From brand new audiobooks such as Thrawn Treason and the audiobook exclusive Dooku Jedi Lost, to our blockbuster movie tie-in editions, you'll have plenty to keep you entertained. Start listening wherever audiobooks are sold. Looking for something more inspiring? Bubble Up is an all-new app that is an incredible resource for organizing and managing your life, as well as a fun way to learn about almost any topic you can imagine. Keep all of your important links, photos, videos, music, documents, and more together, visually organized the way you want it. Use Bubble Up, B-U-B-L-U-P, for work, entertainment, and personal use. Get ready to take fun and organization to a whole new level. Go to bubbleup.com/promo/coffee with Kenobi and activate Coffee with Kenobi's exclusive promo code to get started today.